There is something strange happening in our society, something so strange that we don't even notice it anymore. Think about the last conversation you had with a friend or colleague. Someone asked, "How have you been?" And what did you say? "I've been so busy. I'm completely swamped. The stress is killing me." And here's the strange part. We say these words with pride. There is a hidden message that says, "Look at me. I'm important. I'm needed. I'm surviving where others would break." We look up to people under immense stress. We admire the executive who handles 20 meetings a day. We put on pedestals those who say, "I have a very high tolerance to stress." I know this because I was one of them. For 20 years, I wore my stress like a medal of honor. Every day, someone would walk into my office and say those exact words. "I have a very high tolerance to stress, but I need your help to handle even more." And I would nod. I would give them techniques to raise that tolerance higher, until one day I realized I was poisoning them. Because there is a law in this universe, an inviolable law. Your external stress will always rise to match your internal tolerance. Today, I'm going to tell you why that trophy is actually poison.
Think of stress like water behind a dam. If you build the dam higher and stronger, what happens? The water doesn't disappear. The water rises. The pressure increases. Until one day, the dam breaks. This is the law, an inviolable law of our emotional environment. Your current level of stress will always match your tolerance to stress. The people who say, "I can handle lots of stress," will always be under a great deal of it. If you teach people to raise their tolerance to stress, that's exactly what will happen. They will accept even more confusion and more responsibility until, again, their stress level matches their tolerance. And when the dam breaks, it breaks spectacularly. For some, it's a marriage ending. For others, it's a health crisis, a heart attack at 45, an anxiety disorder at 30, an addiction that quietly takes over a life. Something happens that jolts them awake and makes them realize, "I've been proud of the wrong thing." Today, I want to tell you a different story. A story about a man who learned to do the opposite. A man who discovered that the greatest strength is sometimes knowing when to be weak. His name is Arjun, and his story begins on a Tuesday night.
Arjun was everything our society tells us to be. A high performer in Bangalore, the corner office, the salary, the respect of his peers. And one thing he was prouder of than anything else, his ability to handle pressure. "I have a very high tolerance to stress," he would tell his friends, and they would nod with admiration. But here's what Arjun didn't notice. The stress wasn't staying at work. It was following him home. He'd walk through his front door, and his body would be there, but his mind? His mind was still in the office. One Tuesday evening, he was eating dinner with his family. His wife talked about her day. Arjun nodded. He made the right sounds, but his mind was elsewhere. She asked him, "What are you thinking about?" Arjun said, "I'm wondering what's for dessert." While eating dessert, his mind wandered again. "What should we do after this?" His wife put down her spoon. "Arjun, are you ever actually here?" The question hung in the air like smoke. Arjun opened his mouth to answer, but nothing came out. Because the truth was, he didn't know. He was home, he was safe, and he was completely, utterly absent. That night, after the children were asleep, Arjun walked into his living room. He didn't sit down, he just stood there, and then out of habit, his hand reached for the TV remote. Click, the television blared to life. His other hand reached for his phone. Scroll. His eyes moved between screens. He was home, he was safe, and he was completely absent. The ancient Stoics had a word for this. They called it apatheia, not apathy as we know it today, but a state of being so ruled by external noise that you lose touch with your inner self. The Romans called it negotium, the busyness that destroys the soul. Arjun was drowning in it. But here's the thing about drowning. Sometimes you don't know you're drowning until someone pulls you out. For Arjun, that pull came 3 days later. A chest pain, a rushed trip to the hospital, a battery of tests, and a doctor who looked at him with tired eyes and said, "Your body is screaming, Mr. Sharma. The question is, are you listening?" Nothing was permanently damaged, but the warning was clear: change or break. And so Arjun found himself in a place he never expected to be, sitting across from someone who didn't look like a therapist at all. She looked like someone's grandmother. The therapist had kind eyes and a simple office with a window that looked out on a neem tree. She didn't ask about his childhood. She didn't give him a breathing app. She gave him one instruction. "I want you to go home," she said, "and I want you to sit by your window for 10 minutes every day. No phone, no book, no music, no television. Just you and the window and whatever happens outside. Do this for 30 days. Arjun stared at her. "That's it? That's your advice?" She smiled. "That's it. But I warn you, it will be the hardest thing you've ever done." Arjun laughed. He had handled billion-dollar deals. He had managed teams of 50 people. 10 minutes of sitting? Please. The next morning, he tried. He sat by the window. The first minute was fine. The second minute, his hand twitched toward his phone. The third minute, his mind started racing. Work, emails, dinner, car service. The fourth minute, he started to sweat. The fifth minute, he gave up. That day, he told his therapist, "I couldn't do it. 10 minutes felt like 10 hours. She nodded. "Of course it did. You spent 20 years training your mind to be busy every second. Now you're asking it to be still. It's like asking a marathon runner to stand completely motionless. The body rebels." The therapist told Arjun, "Keep trying and notice something. Notice where your mind goes. Notice the stories it tells you. Notice the discomfort. That discomfort, that's not boredom, that's withdrawal." And she was right. Because here's what modern science tells us, and what the Stoics knew 2,000 years ago. The human mind is not designed to be constantly stimulated. It's designed for cycles, activity and rest, focus and wandering, doing and being. But we've broken the cycle. We've created a world where every spare moment is filled. Standing in line? Pull out the phone. Waiting for coffee? Scroll. Eating lunch? Watch a... We've become addicted to input. And like any addiction, withdrawal is painful. The Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote this almost 2,000 years ago. He said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Life is long enough, but when it is squandered in mere carelessness, then finally, forced by the ultimate necessity, we realize that it has passed away before we knew it was passing." Arjun was living Seneca's warning. His life was passing, and he didn't even know it was passing. But here's the hope. The brain is plastic. It can change. It can rewire. And the rewiring starts with one simple act: doing nothing. On day 7, Arjun made it to 8 minutes. On day 12, he made it to 10. And on day 15, something remarkable happened. He was sitting at the window. The neem tree was swaying gently. A child was riding a bicycle on the street below, laughing at nothing. The sun was warm on his face. And for the first time in years, Arjun's mind went quiet. Not empty, not asleep, but quiet, like the surface of a lake after the wind stops blowing. He noticed the thoughts drifting by, a worry about work, a memory of childhood, a plan for the weekend. But he didn't grab onto them. He just watched them float past like clouds in the sky. And when the 10 minutes were up, he didn't reach for his phone. He just sat there for another 5 minutes because he didn't want it to end. When he finally stood up, he felt something he couldn't name. Later, he would call it presence, the feeling of actually being in his body, in his life, in this moment. He walked into the kitchen, and his wife was making tea. He looked at her, really looked at her. You know that question you asked me about whether I'm ever really here? She turned, surprised. I wasn't, he said. For years, I wasn't. But today I am. She didn't say anything. She just handed him a cup of tea and smiled. And in that smile, Arjun saw something he hadn't seen in a long time. Connection.
One Saturday afternoon, about 2 months after he started his practice, Arjun was sitting in his living room. His daughter, who was 8 years old, came and flopped down next to him. "Daddy," she said, "I'm bored." Now, the old Arjun would have reacted in one of two ways. He would have grabbed his phone and handed it to her, or he would have started planning an activity. Let's go to the park. Let's watch a movie. But the new Arjun did something different. He looked at his daughter and smiled. "That's great," he said. She looked confused. "What?" "Being bored. It's great." "No, it's not. It's boring." He laughed. "I know it feels that way, but let me tell you a secret. When you're bored, your brain gets to rest. It gets to play. It gets to think about things it never has time to think about." She considered this. "So what should I do?" "Nothing. Just sit here. Or look out the window. Or lie on the floor. See what happens." She gave him a skeptical look, but she stayed. She lay on the carpet, staring at the ceiling. For 5 minutes, nothing happened. Then she sat up. "Daddy, I was thinking about what it would be like to have a pet dinosaur." Arjun smiled. "And what would it be like?" "Messy," she said, "but fun." And then she got up and went to draw a picture. The old Arjun would have missed that moment entirely. Instead, he was present. He was there.
A few weeks later, Arjun's son, 11 years old and already addicted to his tablet, came to him with the same complaint. "Dad, I'm bored." And Arjun gave him the same answer. "Good. Be bored for a while. It's good for you." His son groaned and stomped away. But Arjun noticed something. 20 minutes later, his son was in the backyard, poking at the ground with a stick. No tablet, no screen, just a boy, a stick, and the earth. The boy didn't say anything about it later, but Arjun didn't need him to. He understood. We've raised a generation that doesn't know how to be alone with themselves. A generation that reaches for a screen the moment silence appears. A generation that has never learned the art of doing nothing. And it's not their fault. It's ours. We taught them. We modeled it. We handed them the devices and said, "Here, this will keep you entertained." But entertainment isn't the same as engagement. Distraction isn't the same as peace. And boredom isn't the enemy, it's the teacher. The philosopher Blaise Pascal said, "All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone." 400 years later, we've proven him right. But it's never too late to turn around. It's never too late to sit by the window. It's never too late to be bored.
So here we are. I've told you Arjun's story, but stories without practice are just entertainment. And I didn't come here to entertain you. I came here to offer you something real. Here is a simple practice. A practice that costs nothing and takes almost no time, but has the power to transform your relationship with your own mind. Find a window, or a park bench, or a quiet corner of your home. Sit down. Put your phone in another room. Not on silent, not face down. Another room. Do nothing for 5 minutes, or 10, or 20, however long you can manage. Notice. Notice what happens in your mind. Notice the thoughts that come. Notice the discomfort. Notice the urge to reach for something. Don't fight it. Just notice it. Come back. When your mind wanders, gently bring it back to the present, to your breath, to the light outside, to the feeling of sitting. Do every day for 30 days. And here's what I promise you. By day 30, you will know yourself better than you have in years. You will feel time differently. You will be more present with the people you love. The Stoics believed that philosophy wasn't just something you studied. It was something you lived every day, in small actions and small choices. Your window is your meditation. Your 10 minutes is your practice. And your boredom is your teacher. Don't run from it. Sit with it. Let it teach you. If this series resonated with you, if it made you think differently even for a moment, then subscribe to this channel. Not because I need the numbers, but because you need the reminder. We are in this together. We are building a community of people who control their minds rather than being controlled by the world. Hit the subscribe button. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who's proud of their stress. Someone who's forgotten how to be still. And comment below. When was the last time you sat in silence for 10 minutes? Be honest. I'll read your stories. My name is Stoic Janemaha, and I believe that